11, 12.
Hello, Jimmy.
Hang on, an error has occurred. Hello, mate. How are you?
You've got an error. Oh, wonderful.
Apparently. There I
Okay.
am.
I'm
Oh,
seeing
hey, mate.
everything all well and good. Don't you just love the technical part of doing this sort of a thing? It's just so
great.
awe-inspiring.
It's hard work. That's what it is. It's hard work.
It's work, that is for sure. How's your week been, Jim?
Fantastic, mate. I've just been working from home and getting the edits done and making sure that, things get delivered on time. How's your week been?
Mine's been pretty good. Obviously prepping for this show. I'm very pumped about it, actually. I think this will be quite exciting. We'll be able to drive people through how all this team projects works. So
tell me, John, what are we doing?
Well, we're going to go through team projects. We're going to walk through how that all goes from start to finish and get an overview of the way that it works. Then we're going to open up a project that I've already put together and invited about 10 other people to. And then we'll start seeing how it works with a bunch of people in there fiddling around, doing things based on some of the rules that we explain at the front end of the show. So as I'm going to do, I think as a tradition, I'll be having a bevy with my episodes, and I'm nearly low here, so I need to probably top up. Have you got a drink there, Jimmy? Is anyone else online got a drink with them? Just want to make sure we're not the only ones having a decent
I learnt the lesson after last week, mate. I went for the long neck this week because...
you know what?
It gets you through. It gets you through.
You're so right. You're so right. Maybe I should start doing that too. I've got a different mic set up. I wonder if people can sort of hear the difference. And I do apologise for last week's episode. We went through the recording of it and noticed that there was quite a nasty reverb going on. So hopefully I've corrected it enough with the remastered.
Don't apologise for the episode,
replay.
mate. It was a fantastic episode. There were just a few audio issues.
The episode content was very good, I must admit. I was very happy with it. Al Manders, I can see him there. He's helping us out with the commentary as it comes in the background. And he's having a drink as well, I believe. Who else have we got online before we kind of get started? Can you see anyone,
Andrew
Jimmy?
Hicks. I've got Andrew Hicks. I've got Moses MN Videos. Hi, all from Melbourne, he says.
So Moses
Jude.
is actually...
Hi, Jude.
Oh, Jude. G'day, Jude. Moses is actually one of our remote collaborators that's an attendee that is already pre-invited to the team project I set up earlier today. And also should have access to the proxies as well. So this is going to be interesting. We've also got David from TVSN, who is also joining us as a remote collaborator.
I believe we also have Chris Hansen and Brian.
We do.
Chow.
So Chris and Brian are colleagues of mine at Adobe, and they...
Oh, Jason as well.
Hey. Jason, yep. Jason as well. So I do have pulled in a few people from Adobe that aren't that familiar with it, a little bit, but not super familiar. And so they are like, yeah, we want to kind of get our hands dirty as well and use this as an opportunity to do that too. All right, cool. Well, unless there's something going on, can someone just let us know if the audio is okay? Because I do see there is some kind of an issue with it saying you got more than stereo output. I just want to make sure that we don't have issues. And I know there's a lag between when we say things and when we see the commentary and all that sort of stuff. But just want to double check before.
I sound awesome. But anyway,
you always sound awesome.
Thank you, mate. I was also going to say just quickly before we kick this off, it's an interesting thing to do this live is because we're actually watching the way the interactions happen and the notifications pop up. And it's, for me, I love this kind of stuff. And this, for me, when I've got my Creative Cloud work window open, the app window open, I can see when I'm getting included in things and how things are working, who's been added, who's joined, what parts they've been joined to. It's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, it is cool. And you must excuse me, I've got 3 monitors that I'm monitoring, and I've got a deck that I'm switching with. So if you see me darting around and doing weird stuff, it's 1, because I'm weird,
Don't
and
worry.
2, because I've got too many things to try to juggle.
I'm doing the same. I'm doing the same thing over this side, mate. It's all good.
Cool. And I'm constantly checking my poor laptop's CPU in order to make sure that it doesn't blow up midway through doing all this stuff. So, anywho,
if she catches fire, have the fire extinguisher at the ready.
Yes. Cool. Okay. So who's ready to get their hands dirty? I'm ready to get my hands dirty.
Go.
But before we do, Jimmy, people don't know who you are, I think. I mean, I know who you are. And you and I have known each other how long?
Like 20 years.
20 years. 20 years.
Yep.
How did we meet? Let's just do a little bit of background here.
Oh, a bit of a Q&A. I like it. I met you actually while I was producing one of Australia's first YouTube online television shows. I was one of the first generation content creators. It's funny when I mention that because people, we met actually at the VidCon, we met some younger creators who were like, you were making videos in 2006 on YouTube? I was like 8 years old. It's pretty funny. So I got you to become involved in Beat TV, which was our weekly 15-minute, 50 megabyte 4x3 video to YouTube show, and it was amazing. So we got to do some amazing stuff on that. You did some graphics for that. After that, I ran a company, which I still run now, which an independent film company called Harmless Pictures, and me and my wife also run a company called Fire Films, and we specialize in health development and learning management and science. And so we do lots of documentary stuff and a lot of educational stuff. It's pretty cool. So what we're doing here is going to be a little bit different today because the content is going to be somewhat of my music video style stuff. So you're going to see a little bit of that. And then
that's right.
We'll have some fun, hopefully. It works.
It should work. I'm pretty confident this is all going to work really well. So, yeah, the footage that we've got that is accessible as part of this interactive hands-on thing is actually Jimmy's content, some of his content from a few different productions.
Apologies for the late notice on that, but it was just like I just pumped up some red footage that we'd shot all over the place on some multiple different video clip shoots, and hopefully it suffices for the sake of this demonstration, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, I think it's all good. Jimmy, you might be a little bit hot on your mic. I'm just looking at my
Okay, mate. There. Gotcha. Righto.
Sweet, just a touch. Okay, cool. Looks like Chris Hansen has actually been able to join us on the show, which is great. He just sent me a personal message. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this thing where I get to show my screen, okay? This is the first time we've started doing this, which is what I want this show to really be about. It is a CHiNWAG, but it's all about the discussion points around what we're doing. So I've got Premiere Pro 2020 open. If you want to join in and walk along with us, I highly recommend you launch Premiere 2020. It can be any of the versions of 2020. If you're just doing this and you don't want to actually participate by being added in to the collaborative version of the team project, you could do this from version 2018 up to 2020. So long as when you're sharing, you need to have the same people you're working with on the same version. Now I'm going to try and add this little picture-in-picture thing here as well, and hopefully that doesn't get too distracting. Although I'll be looking down like this at another screen, so maybe that's not the greatest. I might leave that up when we're talking about something that we've got on screen. How's that? Making it up as
Sounds
we go.
Good.
All right, now I've switched to the wrong camera. Here we go. All right, from the very beginning. So if you're using Creative Cloud and it's an enterprise version, let's say you work for a bigger corporation, you should be seeing this, and you should have been able to see this for some time, this new team project or open team project options. If you have a Creative Cloud for Teams subscription, you also would have seen these. Because of COVID-19, the Creative Cloud for Individual subscription was unlocked to this. And we talked about this last week And I want to let you know that it will be extended. It was supposed to wrap up some point this week, but it's being extended at least until around the end of the year. Okay, so if you get your head around the way that Team Projects works now, you've still got quite a bit of time to use it if you want to stay on the individual license. We'll see what happens after that, but you'll get to play with it, and you might be able to learn on your own and then take it to the corporation that you might be freelancing for with their account. All right, let's just get back to the screen share. I'm looking at Jimmy, and now I'm going to look back at my screen. Okay, so we're going to start with a new team project. And basically what this is doing is it's going to set up a way of communicating. Hang on, I've got my panels are all floating all over the joint. This will set up a project that sits inside the Creative Cloud. A normal project, a standard .proj file, is going to live on a drive somewhere that you are connected to. This is different. And the way that you start to add collaborators is through this edit function here. Now what we're looking at is the general preferences. So I can come back into here at any point and start adding more people. But let's just set this one up. We'll call this Chin, and I like Jimmy actually sent through something to me with CHiNWAG spelt like this, with the I being lowercase and everything else being uppercase. I kind of like that. I'm going to keep using that. CHiNWAG,
that was just your art. I thought that was your artistic design, mate. I was just trying to copy you.
Well,
did I make a mistake?
No, you didn't. What happened there was I used a font, and that font made the I lowercase. Everything else was uppercase. And so it wasn't me that made it. It was the font that kind of did it for me. But anyway, I digress.
Go for gold, mate. I love that lowercase, uppercase stuff. I mean,
yeah, it's cool.
I might be old school, but who knows?
All right, so we're gonna just leave the description pretty simple. We'll just call it test. You can go back and you can change that at any time that you want, right? So in here, I need to put in Jimmy's email, and I think it's in here, Jimmy 5 Films. It remembered because I'd already put people in there before, and then I hit invite, and then this invite is going to go off to Jimmy, and he will see a notification from his Creative Cloud desktop app, which is this bad boy. Just here. Yeah. Okay, so in here you got the little bell icon. That bell icon gives you notifications. Now I've shared the previous team project off to other people with also a folder of shared files, and
which has now been brought in, and and which once we've accepted it has now been brought in and synced to our system.
Yep. So let's just we'll step back away from that for a second, and we'll just close this bit out, right? So we'll hit close. Now when I hit close and then go, now the team project is being set up in the Creative Cloud brain, and then the invitation is being sent to Jimmy. Jimmy, are you seeing this invitation yet?
I have the invitation right now, and I'm about to click accept. I've just accepted the invitation.
Cool. Now I've noticed that again, I've just got floating screens all over the joint, so I'm not really showing you exactly what I need. So that's
and to tell everybody what I'm seeing at my end, I've just had the CHiNWAG test demo.
Do you want to show your screen
in a team projects window? Let me just share this screen to you guys. I don't know if because I can't zoom in on it perfectly, but
yep. Let's just.
You can see there. You can see there that demo that John just sent me turned up as the CHiNWAG demo test in my team projects, manage team projects window. So we've set up one before, and then he just sent me that one. Then it got added to that list, which now I can choose to open if I want to. And we can commence editing.
Cool. Okay, now my screen's finished loading. There was a panel here that was doing a bunch of lines sort of growing and things being registered. And at the moment it's blank. The one thing I do want to highlight is here it says team project, and then it's got the name of the project. Normally you would just see the word project if it's a standard project. Okay, so I can see here, this is an interesting thing. I wonder if my zoom's going to work. Let me turn it on and let's see if I can get it to go in. Ooh, can you see it zooming, people? I wonder if you can. In there, I've got this short list of who's invited and what role they have. So I'm the owner.
Yes, your
of this
Zoom's
one.
working, mate. It is working.
Perfect. And then I've got one more collaborator. Now, Jimmy, when you log into this, you tell me when you've actually just joined that team project.
The test one or the other one?
The test one, the one I'm making just now.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll just open it now. So it's opening. It's pulling in all the assets. It's doing a status check.
Okay.
It's completed tasks. And then
Yep.
what it's doing is the same process that you've gone through, and then it's just going to probably pull in the rest of what I don't have, and then link it to the cloud.
There we go. There we go. It now says you're online. Sorry, I don't know why I had it.
No. 2 seconds, and now I'm open. So now I'm open.
Well, I can see that you're online. And so this is one of the clever things that this thing does, is it lets you know who is part of your team, and then whether or not they're actually online. That's part of the notification system.
Yep, and I can see that I'm online too. I've got the green tick next to the Creative Cloud symbol. Yep. It says that I'm connected to the CHiNWAG demo project, and it's connected. All local changes have been synced, and it gives me a time and date stamp.
Yep, cool. So that's the other thing you need to be aware of, is that this little tick that is sitting in the bottom left corner, that means that you are actually connected to the servers properly. If there's any kind of exchange going on, that icon will change and turn into these two arrows that sort of point into each other as the exchange is going on. If there's an error or something is kind of gone wrong, or you've disconnected from the internet, then, whoop, there we go. There you go. Did you see it go blue? Just a flash blue there for a second. It did some other little check. But that little tick down the bottom there is important. So, okay. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to add just a bin, right? Let's just call this underscore SEQ. Whoops, I've tapped my keys a bit too quick. All I've done here is added a very simple bin. Now, I'm going to pull out the side of my team project panel just to make sure that I can see this little icon down the bottom here. And this is my share changes button. Now, what's happening is that as I make changes, the system is now, and I say the system, it's kind of this local thing going on that then gets backed up in the cloud. Team Projects doesn't have save. Okay, so if I went in here, I do not have a save option. What it does is transactionally, basically auto-saving each transaction that you do, and locally it makes a copy, and then it goes up in the cloud and makes a copy up there too. So what I'm going to do is look in the media browser and show you, let me just make this bigger here, show you that you've got favorites, then your drives, network drives, and then the Creative Cloud, and that's where your team projects sit as well. Now I'm just going to limit what I'm looking at, because you can see I've got quite a few of them, and I've got quite a few that have got the name demo in there too. This is the one here that we just built, and if I went over to auto saves, you'll see that in my CHiNWAG demo, I already have got over to the right this slider bar, which makes me go back in time. And notice I did a transaction where I misspelled or I didn't put the Q in. This is freaking cool. That is an autosave. And then I go back, and then it was called bin. So there's actually, each transaction there is now backed up in the cloud. So you never worry about crashes and losing work. This in itself is super useful for anyone who's using Premiere in any way, shape or form, because you don't have to manually save, and you don't have to worry about the last time you saved and whether or not it is going to pick up where you left off. This literally picks up exactly where you left off. Now the versions, that is to do with the share versions function. I haven't done one yet. It's sitting here, it's lit up, and on the left of it is get changes, right? So I will share the changes let's get all my panels to sit in the right screen now. It shows me a list of what it was that's been changed. The action was added. It was this particular function here as an asset, and the path for it, there's no path because it doesn't really, it's not a file, right? It's just a made up thing inside the software. And then I'm going to leave a comment in here. I'll just call this first share to Jimmy, and you'll see what happens when you utilize the commentary to help you understand where you are tracking the past. All right, I'm going to share that off to Jimmy. Jimmy, you tell me when you receive that little light that lights up.
I have the change.
Okay, so that was super quick, right? I have a feeling now, Jimmy, what we'll do, you can actually share your screen. We'll actually flip-flop between your screen and my screen.
Okay, stand by.
Okay, standing by.
Here we go, and sharing the screen that's relevant. You have that. Do you see my Zoom?
All right, let me swap you over. Okay, so now we can see.
I don't know if you'll see my Zoom.
Let me just make this UI a little nicer. There we go.
I don't know if you're going to see my Zoom.
I'm not seeing your Zoom, no. But what I want you to do is add a title. So a title is just another thing that isn't an actual file yet. We're not exchanging files just yet. I'll get to that bit soon, okay?
A title on the timeline?
Yeah, make a timeline and then make a title in the timeline. Basic, super basic.
Okay, so let's make a timeline. I've just done that. We'll bring my timeline over here so you can see it. I will add a title using the fantastic title tool and then add a title. There it is.
Excellent. Right, just leave it wherever it is.
So, right, and I might call it Jimmy. Yep.
All right, cool. So what I want you to do now is go to the Share Changes button in the bottom right corner of your Team Projects panel. And before you tap it, I'm going to go back to my screen now. We're going to see how fast this is. All right, back to my screen. Okay, so notice Jimmy's on a Mac and I'm on Windows. This is an important thing to know about the way Team Projects works and manages the media. It's quite clever. We'll get to that in a second though. So Jimmy, all right, you just count me down, 3, 2, 1, and then don't just hit it, right? You got to put in there's the comment bit. So when you hit share, the share button, you can tap away on your little icon now in the bottom right corner.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
I can see your screen.
Share.
Although everyone's seeing mine right now. Okay, so there's a pop-up.
Yep, it says get the latest changes CHiNWAG demo must be reconciled with your changes before.
See? So
because you made a folder, see?
Yes, this is interesting. So this is where you got two people working simultaneously and they're both managing, let me just bring up the screen. So they're both managing the files. They're kind of putting everything together inside of the team project panel. And you can do that. You can have someone else that's managing that bit, and then you can have someone who's doing a certain set of cuts. And you really want to stick to your sequences. You've got your own sequences that you work in rather than your own projects that you work in, and then you consolidate the projects sequences together. This allows you to have one project where you get to see the file and folder structure of what's going on in the team project panel together and stay in sync. Although in this case, we didn't do a get changes yet. So Jimmy made changes, and then the get changes is now being said, you need to do get changes so I can make sure I don't have any conflicts with whatever you've been doing. Because you can be deleting stuff, but you can always go back in time and recover things too. But let's just see. I don't think there'll be a problem in this case. But
and in this case, in this case, what you're describing is that literally you made something, I did something, we didn't conform before each of those actions happened, but we could have. And now we're going to combine those two actions together.
Yes. Yes, that's right. All right. Yep. Good.
You want me to do that? Are we ready?
Yep. Go for it. Okay. So you're consolidating.
So basically here we can see that sequence 1, I added this asset. And that's what I'm sharing, is the sequence that I created with a title.
Cool.
So I share that bad boy.
Yep.
It's sharing it, and now
Okay,
it's
so
pulled down John's folder, which is _SEQ. I've pulled that one down, and John has now received my sequence, which I created in the main project window.
Right, so now my little icon's lit up. Let's go back to my screen. So my little icon here is lit up. I will get the latest changes. And the thing is, you got to manually go in and request that you want to get the changes. There's nothing is going to force itself upon you. You have choices. So I'm going to open the sequence, and then I can see, there we go, my wash here. Cool. So what's going on here? You've got a little marker in there as well. So this is interesting.
I tried to type Jimmy was here, but I did it in the dark, and I thought it was in black. But anyway.
So you can use markers to kind of communicate between the different.
This is a big one. This is a big point I think John is touching on, that markers, which I want to cover in another episode as like a whole thing. Markers are amazing, and I got used to markers back in the DVD studio. What was it, Encore DVD? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I used chapter markers to delineate chapters in DVDs. I think they've evolved a long way, and there is a lot more discussion we can have about markers, because I use them every single day, and they are an amazing part of my workflow, and I definitely want to talk about that.
All right.
Because I think it can be applied. It can be applied in team projects very easily, and it would help teams to communicate without having to jump away from, say, Slack. You know, they might jump onto Slack because a lot of teams are using it. I use it here. But within team projects with editing, if you can just stay within the one environment, you're probably going to have a better time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we are sort of time's ticking away here. So there's a couple of things that I want to just demonstrate as far as the way team projects does this thing called media management. So for Windows, if you go into, actually for both Windows and Mac, you go into the edit menu, and then you go to team project near the bottom, and then look at media management. This is where team projects does something very unique that is incredibly intelligent. I've already set up a Creative Cloud files folder with some assets in there, and I've got proxies in there. So Jimmy's got access to the proxies, although they're his files. I've got the source files, and so I'm able to render out full res, whereas he can only render out if he tries to render with the proxies. And
let's
see
jump
how
into
this
that project, should we?
Yeah, we'll see how this all comes together when we open up the other project. So I'll close that one off, and you can have multiple projects and multiple team projects open at the same time as well. So I'm going to go to File, Open Team Project, and there's my screen again. Now I'm going to just tick this box here to only show team projects owned by me. Not very helpful because I have a lot of them. Let's have a look at CHiNWAG demo. Here we go. CHiNWAG episode 2, team projects demo. Now I'm going to open it, although there's a few other options at the bottom we won't go into today. And my little, that screen was all the way up there and it didn't show the loading. But anyway, now I did get a little pop-up message here. Now, Jimmy, can you open yours as well? And Moses
I'm open,
and
mate.
David, can you open yours too? So when you're in there, I'll be able to see when you guys are actually in. So right now, if I was to blow this up, I can see, and I'm going to try and zoom in here. It's small, but I can see that there's quite a few people actually logged in, right? And if I click on them, it will, or hover over them, it will give me a bit of an update as to where they're at, whether they're online or not. Okay, so I've got Chris is online, David Houston's online, Jimmy's online, I'm online, and Moses is online too. And there's 5 more. Now, if I click on any of them, I get a list. So I can see who's been invited but hasn't yet gone and become part of the team. So there's Jason Grant.
And we definitely, yep.
And
Got
Matt
Brian,
Davis and Brian, right?
Yep.
So Brian's offline. Okay, so Brian's actually accepted the
He's
invitation,
invited,
but
he's not online. Yeah.
He's accepted it, but he hasn't actually started to work in it. He's not in it, although he's accepted. The other guys were invited and they still haven't accepted yet. So that's why they've got a different look to their one. All right, cool. If you want to add anyone, go to the little plus next to it and you go into the edit collaborators function and you can start adding people. If I wanted to, because I don't think Julian's actually going to join us ever, I can now remove him and he's no longer part of the team project. All right. Now, like I said, there was this thing going on with the edit team project media management thing. Now, this is where things get super smart. Because I've got my Creative Cloud files folder set up, and then inside of that folder, I've got a bunch of different things. I've got some audio files and some proxies. All these proxies and audio, there's only one audio file, but anything inside this folder has to be shared out to the other collaborators as well. Otherwise, the system doesn't really work. But when you hook it up, it works in the background. It's awesome. So Jimmy, I would like you to add a photo that you're comfortable adding into this particular project.
Yep.
And that will be happening while we are not in a position of seeing what it is that he's been doing. So I'm going to close the other team project just so we don't get confused by what's going on. Now, there's a function in File to close all other projects. So long as the one you've got open is the highlighted panel, then you'll be able to close all the others. Okay, so that's just clean things up a bit. Now, if I look at my raw string sequence here, there's something that I can see. Now, looking here, next to the name, there's a pencil. And this little pencil is yellow. It's yellow because someone else is already in there and someone else has already done edits, and I can click on that little yellow pencil and see who has been fiddling inside that sequence. Now, we're going to get a situation where there's going to be a conflict. And this is the most scary part, the most, dangerous part of it, which you can always recover from. But this is how you know someone else is in there doing things. Now, when I see this, I would go and make a duplicate of that, which on its own, I'll call it then JB. Okay, and I know that's mine. I might even make a bin that's for me. And when I open that one, this is going to have a different icon. And it's got this white up arrow. And when I click on it, it shows me, and then it says that I've not yet shared the asset. So this white up arrow means it is yet to be uploaded to everyone else's version of the share. And then this one's changed. This one's changed to a yellow down arrow. And that means that if I click on it for more info, Jimmy's still in there, but Moses has actually shared the changes for that asset. So let's have a look at what he's done inside this timeline. Again, I've got to make sure that I can see my little icons here. If you want to, you can actually assign keyboard shortcuts to these, and you can also go through the edit team project, get latest changes, or share latest changes if you wanted to go the longer way of getting through the menu. So I'll click on the icon here, get latest changes. Okay.
So I've just shared and got changes and seen everything you've just done rapidly. And now I've sent you a photo. You should see that.
Cool. All right, here we go. So if you have a good look in my top left corner here where my team project panel exists, it's got now highlighted all the different things, the new things that have been added in since I last had it synchronized, had those shared changes. So Jimmy's got something here that's Photoshop. Now, this is what I wanted to have happen. There's now some offline stuff. Now, this is interesting. So the offline media means that it hasn't been put into the shared folder. So what I'd like the owner of these bits and pieces are, so there's an SEA thing, documents, Adobe, Premiere, blah, 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 right? All those, Jimmy, I'm going to guess these are you, mate.
Just the Jimmy Goes Back Photoshop one.
Okay, so grab that folder and then let's see. We need to. So you need to actually get all the way to the clip itself.
Yeah.
And then when you've got the clip, there is a way for you, because it's offline for me, but for you, actually, I think you can do it from the very top of the window. Let's have a look at your screen, actually. Let's watch you do it. Let's go back to your screen there. Oh, it's looking at you. You're going to have to share your screen. We're looking at you. Sorry, buddy.
Yep, stand by. And incoming. This one. Here we go. Okay, so I've got the asset. What am I doing with it?
All right, let's have a look. Let me just make sure that the screen is sharing in the right way. Okay, so Jimmy, what I want you to do from inside of Premiere Pro, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the Edit menu.
Yep.
Then go to Team Project near the bottom there. Then go to Media Management.
Media Management.
Dot. Yep. Perfect. Now we can't see.
Got you.
There we go. We got it. Great. Okay, so we need to find the actual asset. So keep clicking on the folder in the right big panel, that big area. You keep clicking there. Just keep double clicking in that, and you'll keep diving in. Yep, until you find the actual right. So there's a bunch of clips there. What are they?
They're the proxy clips.
All right, they're your proxy clips. That's interesting. So they are. Are they the proxies or are they the full res?
No, it says offline.
I reckon that's a full res. Does it have underscore proxy on the end of the name?
No.
So they're the full res.
Has it's gone and found them.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't. It says they're offline. So I've deliberately done this so then you will see that the online files or the source files are offline, and that's okay. And the project will continue to work connected to the proxies only, and all the exchanges of what you're doing in the edit will come over and it's fine, and it will hook up for me the right way because I've got the files hooked up and it's trying to find where I've got my version of the source files, even though they're yours, and it says that they're offline. But your photo, so if you go into... Which is
Dropbox, ProdPix, Jimmy.
Yep. Okay, so that photo, you need to now select down the bottom there, copy.
Shared storage.
Yes.
Okay.
Then you point to the shared storage folder that we've all got.
Yep, which is this one, CHiNWAG.
Yep. Is it job number? It should be called job number. Oh, there it is in the middle of your list.
Yeah, whoops, I fucked that up.
It's not a PG rated show, but
okay. Here we go. Hang on.
All right.
So I go. Where do I go? Yep, here I go, and then I go job number. And so, where would I put that? Would I create a new folder? Or
no, put it in. Oh, actually, you could. You could put it in another folder. Call it images.
Like
something.
Images. Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. Created a folder called images. Right. It's syncing that folder. Let's choose that folder.
So two things are going on now. The main folder that Jimmy just put a new folder in called images and then put that image in the folder, that's being updated across everyone else who's been shared to the shared folder, right?
Which is a Creative Cloud folder that is shared to everybody invited.
Right. And I'll show
via
you
the team projects
going on.
panel, separate to libraries and blah blah blah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna make sure my syncing is actually, I've got it on like 50%, so I'm just gonna make that 100%. I thought I'd play it safe. So in here, yep. Nope.
Tell me how fast this is going to get done, actually, because I'm really interested.
I don't know. It might have already done it, although I'm not 100% convinced it has yet. But what I want to do is go into the Creative Cloud web, because this is where you need to actually manage the way you share to others what it is that you're doing with that folder. So let me just grab just that particular.
Quick shout out to Chris Hansen. Jimmy, keen to hear how you use markers. Thanks, mate. I do want to have a talk about that, because I use them extensively, and I'm sure there are other people that have way different workflows than mine, but I really like and have been using them for so long now. It's kind of second nature, but yeah, I'm keen to have a chat about that.
Cool. Now, I've just realized that I've just turned up my percentage of file sync, and it did affect your voice there, Jimmy. So maybe I will crank it down a little to 75%. Okay, I can see my icon in the cloud icon there inside the Creative Cloud is actually syncing. It's doing something. So it's gone up into the cloud on Jimmy's side. I'm looking in the cloud folders version of what we're looking at. And this is where you go and share to other people, either as collaborators, and so they get an invite to an active folder that they can either see the changes being managed because they have only view rights, or they have edit rights and they can be making changes to it. Or you can send a link to someone and they can download this content, then they've got their own copy and it's not actively updating, and that they don't have the control to actively update it for everyone else to see. I'll just jump into the invite section, and we are already on time. If people don't mind, we might go just a little bit longer. You can see here all the different people that were invited, right? So there's different ways that you can manage the kind of sharing, or the way they view, the kind of rights that they have, and you can take them away from it too. And you can do that after you've invited them. So all these different people are in there. Julian, sorry, buddy, I'm going to remove you. So he's now been removed from the team project. Yeah, he's been removed from the team project itself, and he's also been removed from the folder that's the share folder. Now, these are two separate processes, and that's why I really wanted you to understand that these two parts, when they work together, they are bloody great. So let's go back over to my project here, and I want to see if, what have we got here? Oh, we've got my copy, the raw string. Let's have a look at the raw string. Okay, looks like there were changes there which haven't yet come through, unless there's something happened there that I don't know what happened. Oh, Premiere Composer files. Interesting. Swoosh. Oh, yes, there's a swoosh in there. That's interesting. Now, the Jimmy Photoshop document. Let's see. Oh, hello, Jimmy. You and I were there at the same function, if I recall. Back to the Future.
We were.
Yeah. There you go. So Jimmy's PSD file synced through the cloud, and now it's open on my side. I didn't go and reconnect it. I couldn't open it before because it was offline, but in the background, it managed to hook itself up.
And that's the fantastic thing. It does a very long, it seems to have the long game with the strategy on terms of where things are, and then when you link things, send them up to the cloud, and then resync them, it then maps that media, and it does it well.
It sure does. All right, so
I just saying, just Andrew Hicks said that making sure all collaborators on the same version, that is definitely important. I know we talked about it, but that is where I had problems in the past when I was first implementing this, especially using Dynamic Link and After Effects. And I have to say, I did suffer from a lot of After Effects, issues when there were different versions of After Effects, but Media Encoder and Premiere were up to date. There were those issues that came into play, and that we couldn't work things out. We just didn't know what was going on, and it was just like, oops, we updated everything except After Effects because I had a project that I was doing and I didn't want to upgrade, and da-da-da-da. So, good question.
Yeah, cool. Totally. You absolutely need to be on the same version of all of the tools that are part of it.
All the tools, yeah.
Yeah, the Creative Cloud team project is a format that's a container, and it means that you can actually have Prelude projects inside there as well, Premiere Pro, and also After Effects. And we're looking at the other products that might go into that particular workflow as well. Might be audio going in there at some point soon. We will have to wait and see. Right, this is kind of the basics, right? I do want to see maybe from Moses or someone else, like David, maybe. Oh, here we go. He's made changes to this edit. I just want to see the edit like fully change in front of, not in front of me because I have to get the changes, but I'll do another one of these share changes. And then if I can get Moses or even Jimmy, just you can make your own edit.
So what I do is if I say I took the raw string, I duplicated that sequence, it says copy to, what I change it to is raw string Jimmy. And then I do a quick edit of the things that are happening. So I just want to pull out a few clips, maybe advance some things, just shorten them. And then make sure that it's all working. And then shorten the music. Let's pull out those edits there. Let's snap those together. And just do a title over the top as well, because you want it all to be kind of brand effective. So I'll throw a title in there just quickly. Right, so the title's in. And then why, let's say. Here's a question for you, John. My keyboard arrangement seems to have changed. Is my team project keyboard arrangement and shortcuts subjugated to your setup?
No, I don't think so. Go back into your keyboard shortcuts option and just double check that it is actually using your ones and not gone back to the default. It shouldn't.
Yeah, it says mine, but I'm pressing buttons and they're not doing what they usually do, which is really interesting. I've never noticed that before.
Neither have I. We may have found a bug.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like typing the letter J does not work.
Huh.
That's weird.
I wonder if that's just in here or it's your letter J's gone.
No, my letter J's there. It's really interesting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, letter J is just reverting to my shortcut, but when I'm titling, when I press titler, because obviously I've set a few things to different keys, and I use the old Final Cut JKL forward backwards.
Yep.
Not working. It just plays. Doesn't let me type it. Doesn't let me type it at all.
Weird.
Anyway, I'm sending you changes right now. So I did a raw string Jimmy sequence. I'm going to get some changes as well. So I'm going to see a couple of copies. I'm going to see some conflicted versions, which actually, no, it's just telling me what's happened. Nothing's conflicted, so there's no issues. And I've got them. So I've got your raw string JB right in front of me. You should be able to see my Jimmy right now, which is a quick sort of 20-second cut. I put some text in there.
Yep. Cool.
And that's how quick it was.
And so I can see that already. Yep. So I'm just going to go back to my screen here, and I can see that I've changed my arrangement, by the way. I'm going to show you how you can utilize the libraries to make that automatically sync as well, because there's one more thing that needs to be adjusted for it all to work beautifully. All right, so the string and Jimmy's one is updated. Let's see. Okay, I can see Jimmy's edit, and yep, all looking pretty good. Now I can see here the raw string Jimmy. Notice this has gone red, and that means there's a conflict. I've edited something in here. He's edited something in here. The conflict is that I've just changed the in and out points in this case. But when you see something red, then that's a real sign to be like, whoa, okay, is this mine? Should I really be here? Should I be somewhere else? Or should I make a duplicate? And so these are the little signals. Now, if I was to do an exchange and there was actually something that's really moved, it will say, well, there's a conflict. What do you want to do? Do you want to take one person's and leave the other? And so you've got mine or theirs or mine. And then you've got, do you want to take both and resolve it that way? Or you can ignore it and you can deal with it later as well. But you do have to come up with a point where you have to have one that's the truth.
Yeah, and what I would do is just keep everybody in their sequences. Don't be messing with what they're doing. Just let them do their thing and bring their stuff in, and then you're not having any issues. Don't go in and start changing things on other people's behalves.
Yeah, you'll notice that yellow will happen first before it goes red. It goes red when you've made a change. So I'll see if I undo that change, Jim, and it maybe goes back, but we'll see. It's not really a real change. It's sort of...
Mine says red as well, but if I sent you this again, if I just update what I did, send those changes... Oh, did you
make a change?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No. But okay. I'm sharing something with you right now, and it should go back to yellow. Did it?
Let's see. Oh, now it's got a red arrow saying that there's still a conflict.
So, bring in the changes. So just bring in the changes. So bring them down.
Bringing them in. And we'll see if the dialogue for conflict pops up. Okay, here we go. So this is the conflict. This is cool. I actually wanted to show this. All right, you get a few warnings. You get the yellow icon, be it the pencil because it's writing, or it's to download because it's been shared. And then when it's red, this is what you'll get. So I can stop resolving and kind of ignore it and then deal with it later. Notice up the top here, I just want to zoom in on this. Notice at the top here, it's got these red arrows that are pointing into each other. And that means that this is it's hitting each other. There's a conflict and it's red. You need to deal with it, but you can actually ignore it and keep going. Now, if you hit this, I strongly recommend, instead of keeping one or the other, because you might not be sure who really has the right version. If you do copy and rename, what happens is that you will not lose anything, but you will now get another copy, duplicates, of the bins and the files that were used in that edit, in that sequence.
Which to be honest, John, I would not recommend. I would just say let your editor get the edit right and pull in those changes and watch what they have done. Don't try and sort of duplicate and then get version issues, because let them do their work first. That's my recommendation.
You can clean it up, and there's a consolidate duplicates function that's relatively new. Some people might know of it, some people might not. It does help clean it up pretty quick, but it is a bit of a mess. However, you will not lose anything if you do that. If you do the copy rename, you will definitely not lose anything.
You can still timeline back, yeah.
Yeah, and you've just got to tidy things up. That's all. You just get a bit of a bins mess and an asset reference mess. That's all.
But we're all used to that. We're all used to that anyway. So this is much more efficient than the 10,000 bin situation.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'll actually stop resolving it, and you can see that icon's still there, saying that you have an unresolved conflict on this asset. And what I will do is actually make my own copy of this edit. So I'm just going to select all, copy, go into my raw string, and that's my one, right? Then paste that in. So I'm basically taking someone else's work and I'm utilizing it. The other thing I want to do and show you here is, before I start using anything from the libraries panel. So I've got some graphics here. You can actually put audio inside the libraries as well, but we'll look at that at another time. Let us know if that's a point of interest. We might do a video on it. Maybe we'll do that instead. But what I want to show is one more step to make this all work seamlessly. And that's got to do with your scratch disks. So if I go to File, Project Settings, let's see, where are we? Why is it not giving me exactly what I'm after here?
So I'm just having a look right now at raw
Settings.
string DH that Dave's on, and I'm assuming it's Dave, or is it Andrew that's working on that one? But I've just made some notes in the comments in markers on the timeline, and I've just shared them up, and he can pull those back down as he wants to, basically.
Cool. Well, my computer just
David. Good.
My computer just chucked a wobbly. We're looking at your screen now. My computer's just crashed. Let's see. How hard was that crash? Or has it actually crashed? Oh. Well,
so I just said thanks DH. We can tighten. So we could tighten things up. I can make notes on the timeline, but I could also make notes in the clip level. But that's kind of cool. I like that. Share that straight away. So I could watch and edit, just hitting the marker, hitting M, adding markers as I'm watching the edit. Come back, revisit those markers, and just write a few notes each time, and then just share those up. He's going to get that on his timeline, and he's going to say, "Oh, okay, I need to tighten that up." He could either version, or he could just continue working on the same timeline, which is his area. I'm not going to get in there and change anything. I might add markers, but I'm not changing the edit as such. So using that communication tool, he comes in, then alters that edit. I pull the changes back down after he's shared them, and then I can see that again. I have the online media. We're almost ready to go. We could do a render at this point if we needed to. I mean, there's plenty of things we can do here. It's exciting. So, we've only covered like half of what we wanted to talk about too.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job. We did go over time here, but I think it's also helping us see that really we probably need to make the show a little bit longer than 40 minutes. It's a good idea to try to keep it relatively tight, but we can, and this is the rabbit hole, right? We could pick this up where we left off next week, if you like, or we can pick it up again a bit later on. And
also, obviously, a caveat of that is that we are sitting here doing this live. I'm sitting at my place. You're sitting at your place. We are nowhere near each other. We have differing internet connections, and we are working on the same media. You are working on a PC. I am working on a Mac, and these things are happening in real time as we're doing them. So this for me is also the very cool part about it, is that every time I do this, it's changing my mentality and my mindset on how things are happening in terms of editing, because you are, you're doing things and it's happening, but there's nobody else around. You're by yourself. But online, everybody else is doing things. It's a different way of thinking, but it's quite refreshing. I like it.
Cool. All good. All right. So I did mention, and some of you probably caught it, that my computer crashed, right? So this is a very interesting scenario in that crashes do happen. Nothing's perfect. Who knows what's going on? I'm streaming. I'm juggling 3 screens, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to go back to my screen here. And I just want to point out that this thing, so I did a screen cap of this. So when you get the crash report, please tick the box to be contacted, send your email, and then make a little note. What were you doing at the time that it crashed? This stuff is actually important. I know a lot of people see this and just go, don't send. But this actually goes somewhere and people look at it and they want to know what went wrong, because we want to get the product to be as good as it can possibly be. So please take the time. If you see this, fill it out and see if you can be contacted, because there might be they might need a copy of your project. They might need a particular file that is creating the crash. They need a copy of that so they can see what's causing the crash. But just wanted to point that one out. Now, this is what's really interesting. I mentioned at the very beginning here that when you crash, you pick up where you left off, because it's auto-saving or transactionally saving as you work. So this is going to be super interesting. It's just loading up. I'll go back to Jimmy's screen because he's still working on it.
I'm still working. Jimmy, I'm seeing MN's throwing some changes in. I've got a new sequence from Moses, and and then Dave's done a few changes. That's cool. I brought those in just then.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's all happening.
All right.
It's all happening here.
While oh, it's back on me. Oh, jeepers creepers. I've got to get my buttons sorted out. Okay, we're back on my screen. So I'm actually still running Premiere in the back. It's loading now, but I wanted to show you something connected to what I was trying to show before. But I'll set it up in a different order. So I'm in the Creative Cloud desktop app, and I can look at your work. So there's the apps function, then there's your work and discovery. In your work, this is where you look at your libraries, and this is part of the iteration of the way that you can start to collaborate with others. So I'm going to search in here for something CHiNWAG related. Chin, come on. 33 results. And it's found a few different things here. I want to actually, yeah, I've just clicked on one of the icons and it's gone and opened the related library. So now from here, I'm going to invite, where are we here? I do want to invite people and it won't let me. Why won't you let me invite people from here? That's interesting. I usually can. For some reason, I cannot. How weird. All right, well, that's fine. I will take advantage of it. Okay, so I'm going to open the project where I was. Notice here on the end, it's got kind, and I've got team projects, and I've got a standard Premiere Pro project. Open this back up. Oh, my little panel, is it going to come over? It's not coming over. It's stuck on my other screen. That's so annoying.
It's because you had to restart, yeah?
Oh, here we go. Nah, well, I've got primary monitor, and when I do the screen share thing through OBS, it only likes one particular one. And so anyway, there's my raw string JB. I made changes to it with the white pencil, and it picked up, literally picked up where I left off. This was still a conflict that wasn't resolved yet. This is still my latest change, what I did to this. So even though I did have a crash, I'm literally picking up where I left off. All right, I'll just do this last get changes and share, and then I'll show you how to hook up the scratch discs. So then when you do bring something in from the libraries, the asset that gets used is downloaded into the shared CC folder, and it could be any folder sharing system. It doesn't have to be Creative Cloud, although that does
should
work
just sync
very
though.
seamlessly.
Just to confirm, John, this should sync. If you share a library with me, it's going to sync to my system, regardless of where it goes. It will sync with the team project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Regardless of where it goes on the system.
No, not necessarily. So
the two syncing of libraries versus team transactional saving, they are two completely different worlds. Is that what you're saying?
It is, because the asset is still a file. And like we looked at earlier, your PSD file was on a location on your machine that wasn't a shared location of sync for me. So that's the same with the way libraries works. I'll just open up libraries here so you can see.
Interesting.
Kind of see this as a bit more of a concept, right?
I share libraries with my designers all the time, and they seem to it just seems to show up on their system. Maybe so it's different with single license versus teams.
No. Yeah, we're kind of there's a crossover here. So the library does sync, yes, and the library is a catalog.
Right.
So this is you choose what you want to purchase, and in this case, I want to purchase this mic icon. Now at the moment, that's not an actual file, but when I right click and add to project, or I drag and drop it in my sequence, it actually downloads from the cloud that file, and then it's referencing the real file somewhere on my machine. And that's part of the scratch disks. So if I go into my team project settings, and then I look at the scratch disks option, this is the same with a standard project or a team project, right? So you got Creative Cloud library, and then you got motion graphics template media as well. You could have a motion graphics template inside of a library, but because of the file extension, it will get pushed into a different folder for its own sake, because you can import an actual MOGRT file and it will go somewhere. This is the somewhere that it goes. So I'm going to set this up to that folder that you and I have shared, and Moses has got, and David has got. And let's see, I actually put it in my little short list, right? So it's in here, and this is where I'm going to, just in this folder, this is where I want to put that particular sync thing, right? It makes its own little file. Now on this side, I'm going to go in and say, all right, well, I want that to go, oh, well, it's remembered the last location I went to, which is the same spot. That's fine with me. And then hit OK. And then when I add this to my project, what's going to happen is it loads the actual file. So this is an actual file. And if I right click on it and look at where it is by going to reveal, where are you, buddy? Reveal in Explorer.
So I just got a pop-up saying 2 files have been added.
There you go. So again, I've got 300 panels here. So this is where it's gone. It's actually now my machine, Creative Cloud Files, the folder, and then it's created its own subfolder for CC Libraries downloads. And that's where it's gone, right? Now there's, in here, I can see someone's using a motion graphics template, and the AE graphic has gone in there. So there's ways that you sort of get this and you set it up. So then when I now add this into my raw string, and then I can see there's the logo, that will already be ready to have been synced with anyone else that's in the team. So there's 2 parts: the brains of what's going on in the project, the team project brain, knowing who's logged in, what they're doing in real time. Are you creating some sort of, seeing that someone's made changes in a sequence you have open, and maybe you're about to make changes to it? Have you both made changes and you're getting red notifications? Do you need to sync them up and down? All that sort of stuff is there. That brain that's notifying and keeping things in check, that's in the Creative Cloud and must be. The files can be synced in any way. It doesn't have to be Creative Cloud files, although that really is a very quick automatic setup. There's no need to hook things up. If you do need to hook it up because you're using something else, I'll just go back into the edit team project media management. The way that you set it up is you edit media mappings, or you create new mappings. So there's a new media mapping, and basically you're telling your system, my files, my copy of the files are over here. So now it's on an external drive, whereas Jimmy could have his on a local drive or a thumb drive, whatever. But basically you're saying this folder, that's the start of my asset tree. So you look in there. Next time it does a sync, you tell it to look in that place. So long as you're getting your sync somehow, you can have, everybody can have different setups, which is pretty clever. So, wow.
It is manageable, and it is a little bit to get your head around. That was a big dive there, John. We jumped well deep there. My head is well and truly exploding after that.
Perfect.
But we get it. We get where we're kind of going with that. I think we might need to break it down a bit more next week and have some, multiple people involved at the start, where we can have 4 editors online, all in the team, all doing their own little sandbox kind of deal. And then we can compare and contrast what they're doing, bringing those changes in and sending those changes up. And then we can kind of get to that overall media management thing, because it does a good job of kind of figuring it out itself, because that's where I'm at with it all. I kind of leave it up to the program to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, people saying too deep. Get a rope. Yeah. It's getting messy. Yeah. More scared of it now than I was before. That's awesome.
So I think libraries is a separate discussion. Libraries is totally a separate episode. Getting people just conforming and sending changes and receiving changes, that is a discussion in itself. We've seen practically how that this all works now live. We're sitting in our own places doing our own thing, and the changes are coming in literally on the second. So when you send something to me, I send something to you, it's all happening. It's now then managing, and like you were just talking about how, you do need a person to oversee it. So you'll have a team and you'll have somebody who's managing the media management side of things, and what you're bringing stuff in, and there's things need to be linked and all of that stuff. You want the editors just doing what they need to do and editing, and then you can bring the rest of it together. But we can see that it all works. I mean, this is fantastic. I love it. In terms of live demo success.
Yeah, it is relatively complicated because it's so different to the way that we're all used to thinking and the architecture of the way it works. So I'm glad we've started the process. We've probably broken a few eggs and broken a few brains in doing so. But this is where I want us to continue the conversation outside of having to do it in this format. We've got the Twitter handle, AV CHiNWAG. We've got there's actually now a page that I put together on Facebook. So you could go through the APVUG_OZ AppVug Oz Facebook group. If you're part of that, you can start the conversation there as well. We could have lots of different places where we can continue talking about it, and then we can consolidate what it is that we need to really focus on, and then do that in another episode. And that's kind of where I want this feedback loop to help make this session really work for you guys out there that want to know this stuff. I hope I haven't scared people off. Go back and watch the replay. Hopefully,
you've totally terrified me, John. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks to Jude, and thanks to Julian, and thanks to Al, and thanks to all the other people that were at the back end, and everybody else who was involved. I don't have everyone's names in front of me right now. If I can,
Moses and David.
Moses, yep, David and Brian and Chris. Thanks for joining in. Really appreciate that. And I'm sure that we're going to have a team sit down, and I want to do a live cut. See if we can do a live music video cut or something at some point, which would be cool, because I just love watching this stuff evolve in front of me in the edit suite, and it's almost like I'm conducting an orchestra. It's great.
Yeah, I do have an idea of getting enough of this into a format where people now are a little bit comfortable to start, and then maybe have a remote edit off.
Ooh,
where people,
nice.
How about that? That could work.
I think we could do that. Imagine that. Same content, 6 editors, 6 sequences, same content, 6 minutes, bang,
Yep. You can, so I didn't have time to do this, but you can actually have a master team project that only you have control of, and then you set up linked team projects inside of it that in there you then push the assets you want people to work with, and then only one person has that team project, and then they do their work, and you can go in and open it up because you're part of the team, but you assign a team project that's linked to a master team project. That's where it becomes a bit what's that movie where they all go inside a dream inside a dream?
Inception.
Inside a dream?
You're killing me, John. You are killing
Inception.
me. Killing me.
All right, we're going to sign it off. We've gone way over time. Thanks for sticking around. We'll go through all of these little notes that we've been getting. There's been a lot of red flashes from our team in the background saying, too much. And yeah, let's just keep chatting through the Twitter handle. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you, John.
Righto. Catch you later.